Okay, now in this module, we are going to focus on Administrator Azure Resources. And when we talk about Azure Resources, we are also going to understand what are the different ways by which we can administer Azure Resources. Now, in this case, first we are going to start with configuring Azure Resources with different tools, like we have Azure Portal, we have PowerShell, and we have Bash scripting also available with that. Also, at the end of this, we are also going to talk about something called Azure Resource Manager templates, formerly known as ARM templates. So let's get started. Let's start with this module. We are focusing on configuring Azure Resources with Azure Portal, PowerShell, and the CLI. As you can see in this particular slide, we are able to manage Azure Resources with the help of three different ways. You can use Azure Portal, obviously, and as you have seen in the previous labs, that we can go to Azure Portal, we can just be friendly with our graphical user interface, which is available on portal.azure.com, and then we can do everything. Now we can view and manage resources. We can also personalize our experience, as well as we can access this in the mobile app also. Now this is something which is one of the scenarios by which you can actually administer your Azure resources. The other option which we have is you can use Cloud Shell. Azure Cloud Shell is an in-browser command prompt which is available in the Azure portal itself. You can just use Azure Cloud Shell with Bash or PowerShell kind of a scripting, and easy to use kind of Azure commands will work fine inside that. When you're doing this thing, it's going to be provided on the per session and the per usage basis. And when you click on Cloud Shell icon, it's going to authenticate automatically. Yes, of course, if you have multiple subscriptions, then you have to just associate that subscription with the Cloud Shell, and then you're good to go to use the commands on that. The third and the final option which we have is you can use Azure PowerShell and CLI, which is basically your command line interface, which is available for you to download and install in your computer. You can install that interactive configurations in your computer, and then you can actually use it for cross-platform kind of integrations also. This is something which is good for repeatable deployments, and when you are going to associate with your development environment or when you're on-premise kind of a server configurations, Azure CLI is really going to help you a lot. Hey guys, sorry for interruption. My name is Maruti and I'm here to make a very important announcement. I hope you are liking our videos and you're doing a continuous learning with us on an Azure Cloud and AI related topics. If you are enjoying this thing, I'm going to announce SkillTech.club, which is our upcoming website, which is going to be launched very soon. We are here to tell you one thing, that everyone who is a subscriber of this particular channel will get Azure Cloud and Azure AI related certification courses free of cost in SkillTech.club. So you will be a part of the SkillTech.club kind of a membership automatically free of cost. And everyone who's a subscriber of this particular channel will get those benefits which are available in that. So what are you waiting for? I request you to please subscribe to this channel and share it with your friends and families if they are also interested in Azure Cloud and AI learning. That's it from my side. Now you can carry on with your learning. Thank you. Now let's have a look at deployment of Azure resources with templates. Now, if you have ever heard about a template names like ARM template, Terraform, Bicep template, or maybe something like Ansible, these are all examples of infrastructure as a code kind of a template. In Azure, we have a by default Azure Resource Manager templates, which we are going to discuss in this particular module. We are going to focus on exploring the JSON template schema of ARM template. We'll explore the template parameters also. So basically, every template file is actually going to have two files in that. We are going to have one template file, which is template.json, and we are going to have parameters.json. Both are going to be in the JSON format, and both are basically going to have a key value pair kind of a configurations. We are also going to have another template which is known as Azure Bicep template, which is a better improvisation on ARM template which are based on JSON. Bicep template is not part of this particular course, but when you do the lab part, we can use Bicep template based deployment, which is easy to understand compared to JSON files, as well as there are certain issues which were there with JSON files which are not there in the Bicep template. We are going to see that thing when we focus on that. Right now, let's start with review of ARM template and what are the advantages which are associated with that. As you can see in the slide, improving consistency and performance because of the reusability is what the biggest advantage of ARM template. It's going to reduce manual, error-prone and repetitive tasks, because every time when the human being is going to do that thing, there are chances of making mistakes. It's going to express complex deployment requirements through code. That's why we call this thing infrastructure as a code. And then it's going to also provide validation tasks associated with that. It can be modular and it can be linked with other template files, and then it's going to be giving you a simplified orchestration, especially when you want to deal with multiple environment specific deployments. Like as you can see in the slide, we have one ARM template which maybe I can configure for my development, production, and QA kind of a deployments which I want to do repeatedly. If we have a look at the JSON template schema, as I said, all the JSON files are nothing but key value pairs. But if you see the schema, it's actually going to define all the resource manager resources in the deployment. It's going to be written in JSON. It's going to have a collection of key value pairs, and each key is nothing but a string, and it's going to have some associated values with that. While defining JSON template, you can actually provide your kind of parameters, variables, functions, resources, and outputs, which are actually going to be interlinked inside one Azure Resource Manager template. Each value which you're providing for this key is going to be a string. It can be number, boolean, some kind of a logical expression, or maybe it's going to have a list of values or just an object. It can have any of this type of values associated with that. Now, if you have a look at the JSON template parameters files, parameters are mostly going to have key value pairs only. It's going to specify which values are going to be configurable when you try to run the template. So basically, whenever you want to keep some dynamic parameters associations with this, parameter file is what you're going to use. This example is showing you that you have two parameters, one for the virtual machine's username and the other one is for the password. And you can see that we can actually change the values of that while using the deployment through ARM template. When we are discussing about ARM template, do not forget that ARM template is actually having a couple of issues in that. And because of that, Microsoft is coming up with a better version of that, which is known as bicep templates. Bicep templates or bicep files are not going to be in the form of JSON. So basically, it's not going to be .json file. Compared to JSON, this is actually going to be a much simpler syntax with writing template kind of a configuration. Anyone who's a developer or knowing some basic languages like JavaScript and all can easily understand and configure bicep files. It's similar to modules files so that you can reference that with the main template and you can create a reusability with the bicep template configurations. It's going to automatically detect the dependencies between your resources, which is one of the biggest advantage of bicep templates. And then you also have Visual Studio Code extensions which are available for IntelliSense and indentation kind of a configurations with bicep templates. These are all the advantages because of which bicep files are actually going to be better options compared to ARM templates. But remember one thing, there are so many ARM templates which are not going to be successfully converted into bicep because bicep is something which is work in progress. It's still not finally ready for the production environment, but yes, very soon, hopefully it's going to be available. The next thing which I'm going to show you right now is I want you to see that there is something which is known as Azure Quickstart template. Yes, even right now, if you just put this word Azure Quickstart template in any search engine, you will be landing on a particular Microsoft link where they are going to show you not 100 but thousands of ARM templates which are available there. Now in this screenshot, it is actually showing me that around 900 templates are actually available. But if I just show you this thing in my browser, you can see that I have just opened the same kind of a configuration page and we as of now have more than 1200 ARM templates available. When you use this kind of a template, all you have to do is you have to provide what kind of a resource configurations you want to do with this. Let's say I want to provision a virtual machine. So I'm going to say I want to create a virtual machine. When I search for this, out of 1200, they are showing me 96 templates are actually available which can be allowing you to deploy virtual machines. Let's say I want to deploy an auto scale settings for my virtual machine scale set. And if this is a template which I want to use, I can click on that and it's going to show me a page where I can directly either browse the code of this template, which is available on the Git repository, or I can deploy this to Azure. If I have an Azure subscription, it's directly going to allow me to associate with that. And then if I want to also deploy this with Azure Government, or if I just want to visualize that, all these options are going to be available. You really don't need to do much because these templates are created by Microsoft community and Microsoft people. So you can reuse this thing as you want with or without customization. Now, once you understood this thing, after this, all you have to understand is, so check out the next video, which is going to be a lab with ARM template.